All right, I'm gonna try this instead of finding videos that just random people did on the internet. I'm gonna try and do my own notes instead of doing that. So we're still doing quadratic equations. We got square root property, still same as last week. So instead of getting x squared by itself like we did last week, I'm gonna get this parentheses by itself this week. Now, this is important compared to last week, especially this plus or minus. All right, we cannot forget the plus or minus on the right side after you take the square root of both sides. It plays a bigger role this week than it did last week. It wasn't a huge deal last week. So we got this. I got 5 examples for you guys. I'm going to run through those quick. I'll give you the PDF of the notes, so if you need to look at that instead, then you guys got a worksheet with about like 8-10 problems on it, something like that. That's it for this week. That's pretty much how we're rolling the rest of the year. All right. So first example, parentheses is already by itself. All right, so we got that. That's your first major goal, is to get the parentheses by itself. It is. Once it's by itself, you square root both sides. Now, all this square root on the left side does is knock out the exponent. So if you look there, all I have is just x minus 1. The exponent's gone, so we're good there. Now, square root of 4 is 2, but I need to put the plus or minus with it. Then I need to get x by itself. So I need to add 1 to both sides. When I have that, I usually sneak the 1 in front of the plus or minus. So I go x equals plus or minus 2. Now, I don't need to see it broken up like this. This is just for notes. Hopefully this helps out to see it a little bit better. I split this up into 2 little equations. I go x equals 1 plus 2, which is 3. And then I go x equals 1 minus 2, which is negative 1. I get these 2 answers. My answer is not plus or minus 2, it's 3 and negative 1. So a little bit different than last week. All right, plus or minus plays a huge role in these problems this week. Next example, just like the last one, nothing crazy. The parentheses is already by itself, so I square root both sides. When I do that, I get rid of the parentheses. Square root of 16 is plus or minus 4. I subtract 3 from both sides from there, and I sneak that out front again. So it's x equals negative 3 plus or minus 4. Then I move on, go negative 3 plus 4, which is 1, negative 3 minus 4, which is negative 7. Those are my 2 answers. All right. So hopefully you kind of see the big idea that we're rolling with right now. Next 2, we have a couple steps involved first. Parentheses are not by itself on this one, so I need to subtract 7 first. Let me get this situated. Let's pull out the next couple steps. So I subtract 7 first. Get 25 on that right side. Then I square root both sides. Now it's just like the last 2 problems. I get x minus 2 equals plus or minus 5, just as I did before. I sneak that 2 out front, so it's 2 plus or minus 5. Then I have 2 answers that I split up. Maybe. There we go. 2 plus 5 is 7, 2 minus 5 is negative 3, and those are my 2 answers. Next thing here, next example, I divide by 2 first to get rid of this 2 that's out front. So I do that first. I get x plus 4 squared equals 9. Then I square root both sides. Steps are the same as the last problems. Subtract 4, sneak it out front. Negative 4 plus or minus 3. Negative 4 plus 3, and then negative 4 minus 3. Then I get my 2 answers of negative 1, negative 7. So I have that. Last example combines everything. All right, so my first step, I'm going to subtract the 11 first, and then divide by 2. So I'm combining the two steps that we showed before. All right, so subtract 2. Let me fix this up. Yeah, that's fine. And then divide by -2. So I get -72 over here first. Divide by -2. I get negative or a positive 36. Then I square root both sides. Get x minus 7 equals plus or minus 6. And I'll just show the rest of the steps because it's pretty easy from there. It's what we've been doing. 7 plus or minus 6. 7 plus 6 is 13. 7 minus 6 is 1. Those are my two answers. On all of these, we are going to have two answers that are different from each other. It's not going to just be plus or minus 4, plus or minus 5. It's going to be two answers just like you see here. I got a printout of these notes. You're going to do a worksheet going right along with these examples. If you have questions, email me, hit me on Remind, through Google Classroom, whatever you need to do. But that's it. Hopefully this works for you guys.